Imagine a blanket so heavy that instead of keeping you warm just enough, it turned your entire room into an unbearable sauna. That's exactly what happens on Venus. Its thick atmosphere of carbon dioxide traps heat so fiercely that the whole planet has become a 860 degrees Fahrenheit 460 degrees Celsius oven. For comparison, while on Earth the greenhouse effect raises the temperature just a few degrees, on Venus it has turned the surface hotter than a pizza oven. It's as if Venus turned up the heat dial and lost the ability to turn it back down. The strangest part is that this invisible prison has no iron bars, only gas. Each molecule of carbon dioxide acts like a glass wall, letting sunlight in but not allowing the heat to escape. The result? A planet permanently stuck in the peak of the hottest summer you could ever imagine. Think of a greenhouse left out in the blazing sun, only multiplied thousands of times until it becomes an unlivable inferno. This scenario is more than a scientific curiosity, it's a warning for humanity. If an entire planet can become a prisoner of its own greenhouse effect, what keeps Earth from following the same path if we keep abusing our resources? Venus' atmosphere is not just a distant mystery, it's a silent reminder of how small changes can build up into irreversible disasters. And if you think that's already terrifying, wait until you hear what happens when the skies above Venus unleash storms that look straight out of a sci-fi movie. Now picture a sky that doesn't bring peace, but terror. On Venus, clouds aren't soft and welcoming like the ones we see on a calm afternoon on Earth. They're made of sulfuric acid, a substance so corrosive that if a single drop touched your skin, the burn would be immediate. But here's the most shocking detail. Those drops never even reach the ground. The heat is so intense that they evaporate mid-air, creating an endless storm cycle that never fulfills its final purpose. And it doesn't stop there. Among these clouds, probes brave enough to peek inside recorded powerful lightning bolts, comparable to the fiercest storms on Earth. Imagine an electrical storm raging inside a sky of acid, where each flash lights up a suffocating, hostile atmosphere. It's the kind of place that would make any sci-fi movie director feel small compared to reality. After all, no screen could fully capture the deadly spectacle that plays out above Venus. If Venus' atmosphere already felt like an inescapable prison, here we see that even the sky plays its part in the punishment. There's no room for rest, no room for hope. The planet seems designed to repel every possibility of life. But if the outside is already this merciless, what do you think lies within, where volcanoes and mountains guard secrets that are even more extreme? If Venus' sky already feels like a nightmare, just imagine what lies on its surface. The planet holds more volcanoes than any other in the solar system, as if it were a giant park of fiery mountains. Some are taller than Mount Everest, and evidence suggests many are still active. It's as though Venus itself is one massive volcano disguised as a planet, always ready to unleash its fury at any moment. Research shows that eruptions on Venus aren't small, occasional bursts, they're massive events capable of reshaping the entire surface. Picture an entire continent on Earth being redrawn in just days by rivers of molten lava. It's as if the planet has fits of rage, leaving scars that never fade on its rocky skin. This behavior explains why its atmosphere keeps being fed by hot gases, intensifying the greenhouse effect even more. And here's the most fascinating part. If active volcanoes on Earth already threaten entire cities, on Venus they feed a fiery cycle that seems endless. Each eruption becomes another brick in the wall that keeps the planet uninhabitable. But Venus doesn't stop surprising us there. Even the way it spins defies logic, revealing a cosmic secret that feels like the universe's own prank. Venus seems to enjoy defying our expectations. While most planets spin from west to east, it does the exact opposite. It rotates backwards. It's as if the planet decided to paddle against the cosmic current, showing off a stubborn streak. To make things even stranger, a single day on Venus is longer than its entire year. In other words, before the sun sets again, Venus has already completed a full orbit around it. Imagine living through one sunset that lasts longer than all your birthdays in a whole year. This slow, reversed rotation may have been the key factor that shaped Venus into the extreme environment it is today. Some scientists believe this peculiar motion contributed to its climate collapse, altering winds, atmospheric circulation, and even how heat is distributed across the planet. On Earth, it would be like suddenly flipping the direction of every ocean current, a change powerful enough to rewrite the climate itself. Curiously, this reversal sparks a deep fascination. If even the spin of a planet can break the rules, what does that teach us about the fragility of what we call normal? Venus, with its eternal days and its contrary dance, reminds us that the cosmos doesn't play by the guidelines we'd prefer. But if its rotation already challenges logic, just wait until you hear what happens when human probes dare to survive in this inferno, even for a few moments. Few engineering feats carry as much boldness as the Venera missions, launched by the former Soviet Union. Imagine designing a machine knowing it would only survive for minutes after touching down on Venus. Still, the engineers took on the challenge. Some probes managed to last just over 2 hours before being crushed by the pressure, baked by the heat, and corroded by the toxic atmosphere. It was like tossing a capsule into a giant oven and hoping it could send a message back before turning into scrap. These missions prove that human courage has no limits. The data sent back by the Veneras included photos, chemical analyses, and measurements that completely changed how we see the planet. Even in such a merciless environment, scientists pulled valuable treasures from the chaos, like explorers grabbing jewels from a collapsing cave. Every minute of transmission was a victory against the very laws of nature, and a reminder that science doesn't back down from the impossible. What makes this story even more inspiring is how it contrasts with our current reality. While probes perished in Venus' hellish landscape, here on Earth we still argue about whether we can protect our own home from a similar fate. If Venus is a snapshot of what happens when climate runs out of control, maybe it's not just a distant mystery, it's a mirror we'd rather not face. And that reflection leads us straight into the boldest question of all: could Earth follow the same destiny? Venus isn't just a distant enigma, it's a blazing warning hanging in the sky. What happened there wasn't random chance, but the laws of physics taken to the extreme. Its thick carbon dioxide atmosphere turned the planet into a living example of what an unchecked greenhouse effect can do. It's like looking at a neighbor who took a dangerous path and realizing that, if we're not careful, we could end up following the same shortcut to disaster. The parallel with Earth is impossible to ignore. Today, we debate global warming, emissions, and climate change as if they were abstract ideas. But all it takes is a glance at Venus to understand they're anything but distant. On Earth, just a few extra degrees already trigger stronger hurricanes, harsher droughts, and melting glaciers. Now imagine a runaway greenhouse effect that never stops feeding itself. Venus is the exaggerated version of a future we'd never want to experience. And here's the challenge: are we really paying attention? While we argue about politics, consumption, and economics, the cosmos shows us a finished example, shining in the sky as a daily reminder. Venus doesn't need words to warn us, it already screams through its very existence. But if science alone wasn't enough to shake us, get ready, because the introduction to this journey will uncover a secret far darker than mere numbers and facts. Now tell me, after everything you've just learned about Venus, do you still think Earth's warming is just scientists exaggerating? This planet, once so similar to ours, is now the perfect picture of what happens when nature falls out of balance. The real question isn't whether the future will be better or worse, it's what you will do from now on with the knowledge you've gained. Will you keep treating the warning signs as something distant, or will you start rethinking your choices, even the small ones? Every decision, from how we use energy to how we demand change in our communities, writes the story of the generations that come after us. So think carefully, do you want to leave behind a legacy of survival, or one of neglect? And since you've made it this far with me, I'll challenge you to take the next step. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and keep exploring the secrets the universe hides, secrets that could change the way you see life itself. After all, the next video might hold exactly the answer you've been searching for to rewrite your own story.